Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. We are at BeerX 2026. We've stolen Jamie away from the stand at Simpsons to answer some burning questions that we have found that you might want to know the answers to. Jamie, thank you very much. First question, let's just jump right straight into it.
Yeah.
What is the most common mistake brewers can make when choosing a base malt?
Okay, this is a strange answer,
Okay.
but I think it's a very true answer, is price.
Okay.
Cheap malt does not equate to, pounds per tonne does not equate to pounds per litre.
Yeah.
So we used to call it wooden dollars back in my brewing day.
Yeah.
You get a cheap malt, but a lower quality malt will lead to higher losses, less processability,
Yes.
inconsistency. A good beer is built on a good quality base malt. Basically, buy the best and it looks after itself.
Definitely. And buying that cheaper malt's also going to not necessarily be cheap, because you're going to have to be probably adding process aids to get it up there.
You make loads and loads of losses off the back of it.
Yeah.
Wooden dollars, cheap at the front, expensive at the back.
Yeah. All right. Perfect.
Yeah.
Jamie, next question I've got you is, how can brewers improve a brew house efficiency just by changing a malt?
Well, it again goes back to the quality of the malt. You can't mash and get extract from a dead grain.
Yeah.
and that's how malt is sold cheap. It's a lower quality barley you buy initially. There's a thing called outages, and you can't. Basically, it's a loss in efficiency. So if you use a good quality base malt that is well modified, in spec for nitrogen. Also, actually, if you're getting a really good consistent supply, so you're not changing things in your brew house as well.
Okay.
Yeah, all these things, Matt, you can dial in that way as well.
Yeah.
Good quality malt from a good supplier with a consistent malt.
Yeah.
Basically.
And then also looking at stuff from like seasonal, different times of the year and stuff, and you can get that on COAs and stuff like that. And
what we prefer to do, what we always do anyway, when we move from one crop year to another, we make sure that our customers know about it, so we prep them so we know whether the nitrogen's changing, whether it's going to be a bit different. We always do that. And again, because Tivishal's quite a small malting in comparison to the distilling side, all our barley tends to come from the same region.
Okay.
So I probably owns about 40,000 tonnes.
Okay.
So all our barleys come from the same terroir, in effect.
Yeah.
So it's all going to be very similar. Whereas a larger malton's probably buying it. They're buying it through merchants, and one batch could come from East Anglia, another batch could come from Yorkshire, and then it could come from Denmark.
Yeah. So consistent supply.
Consistent
supply. You know what you're getting.
Yeah.
And buy good quality.
Exactly.
Next question is, what is one sign that a brewer might be using the wrong malt for their recipe?
Okay, right, here's a strange answer again. Always strange answers.
Yeah.
I'm an ex-brewer, and I hated my suppliers telling me how to brew beer, and I will not do that.
Yeah.
So I might notice in a brewery, I'll drink a beer and I think, it's a bit out of balance, but I'd never tell a brewer that.
Yeah.
No, it just in my mind, it's not the done thing.
Yeah.
In a kind of way. And the other thing is, when the brewer developed that beer, I have no idea what he was trying to make.
Okay.
So for me to say, that doesn't taste how I think it should taste, well, I don't know how it's supposed to taste.
Yeah.
So I can't really tell him whether he's got the wrong thing or not.
Yeah. Now, for that brewer, if he's making that recipe and he's finding some issues along the way, what can he do to speak to you guys and maybe tweak
you're right.
something?
Yeah. So if he feels he's got a problem or he's looking for something particular in the beer, we can help.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we wouldn't venture it forward because we don't know what he's after until he comes to us and says, I'd like this to be a bit more toasty, I'd like it to be a bit golden, I'd like it to be this, do that,
And would you tell him to maybe adjust his grist, adjust the recipe slightly, try and move?
At that point, I would be willing to make a comment, but never tell someone they're doing it wrong. Only me. You don't want to do it like that.
So Jamie, last question we have here is, how can the actual malt choice impact the flavour of even a hop forward beer?
Okay, these big hoppy beers, I think malt can get lost in those.
Yeah.
So you need something fairly full, a big full kind of malt. So we definitely see a lot moving, in America especially, Marisota and Golden Promise.
Yeah.
Your big hazes, they're putting the chit in as well as wheats and oats.
Okay.
You're picking things that are going to fill out that palate.
Yeah.
Or you'll just end up with far too much hop flavour and nothing behind it.
Yeah, so you need
thinness.
You need something that kind of gives you a good base to work on.
You've got to pack it out, and you've got to pick the right malts to pack the flavour out. Yeah.
All right, great stuff.
So chit's doing a lot of that now.
Okay, so
seems to be where people are going. Chit.
Okay, all right, great stuff.
big peptides.
All right. So, guys, that was it. There were some 5 questions we asked Jamie from Simpsons to help you make some better choices when it comes to choosing your malt. And as always, guys, happy brewing.